Okay, that was cool. That was way cool. For all the longtime Gundam fans, episode 2 of GQuuuuuX was just kind of like a love letter to everybody. Like, here you go. The old school music, the old callouts, everything, the music, the sound effects, everything was super freaking cool. And I thought it was honestly a really cool episode to have for all the new fans. Because, yeah, I didn't really kind of realize that with my first episode impressions that, yes, a lot of new fans are going to be quite confused as to who's Char? What's a mobile suit? What's a Gundam? All this stuff is going to be a little bit confusing. And its tie-in with the Universal Centuries, for those that don't know, is the universe in which the first Gundam was in, might be a little bit confusing for people. It's going to be something that's going to be difficult for somebody to jump into. But as I mentioned with my impressions of the first episode of GQuuuuuX, this isn't the original Gundam, because Zeon won. And that wasn't how it was with the original one. And with episode 2 right here, we're seeing that yeah, it's taking place in the first episode of the original Gundam. Just unlike with the original Gundam, Char in this one goes and attacks and steals the Gundam. So that's the big kind of diversion there. But I still think there's going to be quite a bit that people are going to be confused about here. I just didn't stick on it too much because I figured that the focus was going to be so much on the people of this space colony, focus on Amate, that it's not going to matter. But I don't know, I guess some people are still going to be confused there. It's one of those things where in the original Gundam, what it's all about is you have all these space colonies in space, and this one group proclaims themselves as the Principality of Zeon, and they want to attack the Earth Federation. They want independence. They want their own desires. And so this war kicks up. So you basically have the people in space. They're attacking the Earth Federation, which is what everybody else was. And they were really doing well. Zeon was really doing well because they had mobile suits. They introduced the idea of the mobile suit, which is these big mechas. And they're so fast and they can maneuver around all these spacecrafts that they're doing really well. And at some point, the Earth Federation, they create the Gundam. And that's what you see in this episode 2. When it opens up, Char, who's part of the Zeons, he comes in there. They're doing a little bit of scouting. And at some point, they notice, oh, Earth Federation, they have this new thing here. What is this? And again, different than the original Gundam, Char goes in there, jumps into it, and steals it. The main character of the original Gundam series, he ends up piloting that, and that's what he uses to pretty much win the war. Here, Char gets into it. That's when everything changes. That's why I kind of like with this episode, you have Char takes it, and he starts tearing up stuff, and at some point he goes over to what essentially is the White Base, which again is the spacecraft that most of the entire original Gundam takes place in. That's their home base. He even goes to that because he knows that they're supposed to be putting that inside of the White Base. And I like how he goes up there and he punches in there and blasts everybody, and at some point he says, "You were just unlucky." Or, was I lucky? I feel like that moment of inspiration changed everything. That's literally the nod to all the longtime fans right there. It's literally Char made the decision to grab that, and it changed the course of history completely. It was that single move that he made. Let's go. That intuition of let's go. I want my glory. Let's go. That changed the entire storyline. And again, I don't think people should be too lost going forward, but I do think it's still going to do a lot of callbacks in this entire series. I was telling some people on our Discord that it would probably still be good to watch Gundam Origin, because that's everything that takes place up until now for Char's story, just before the events of this episode 2 of GQuuuuuX. It gives you a sense of who Char is. It gives you a sense of all these individuals from the Zeon side that we got to see in this episode, which is basically the entire Zabi family who's heading this, and how they really don't like each other. Once the father dies of the Zabi family, they just have this dispute between the brothers and sisters. That's why you see Cassilia, and she does not like her brother, Garen. Like, this family's broken. This family's broken. They all have their ideas on what Zeon should be, really. But again, a cool little look into this, kind of seeing how Char takes the Gundam, and then, yeah, he starts to outfit it. I like how really quickly Cassilia apparently decided to have them change it to the Red Comet, basically, because in the original series, Char was known as the Red Comet because his Zaku was always red. So he's very well known as being the Red Comet. So yeah, they of course have to paint the Gundam red, and he's just loving it. Like, he's loving how fast it is. This thing has like warship level cannons. This thing's incredibly powerful. Let's make it better. And yeah, the Psychomu was a big thing that Zeon themselves had. This was something that they were implementing. It was a way of having the Psyche be able to control the mobile suit directly, allowing them to maneuver and react much faster. Rather than the brain having to tell the hands to make the controls, it's going directly from the brain. And yes, also opens up the ability to use the bits, which are essentially these little spacecrafts that can kind of fly around separately that they can utilize. He's even able to sit it in there. Really cool stuff. Really cool stuff. And again, the entire time, having that old school music and even the little cards in between Char and all kind of stuff, it was super cool. Like I said, it's for the old time fans. It's a geeky thing for the old time fans. Like, I watched the original Gundam a long time ago, but I didn't actually rewatch it until I got a review copy. And it was just, yeah, its pacing is super dated, but it's just a classic. It's just a classic. And one of the greatest things that has always been for the Gundam series, for the new fans here, is Char. Like, Char is just an iconic character. And it's probably why they brought him into this property, is because he's so iconic. He's just an iconic character that just has so many twists and turns. He is literally the bad guy, the main villain, the main rival character of the original series, but he was literally the most liked character. Like, even though he was the bad guy, people liked him more. He became literally like the face of Gundam. He's great. But yeah, anyways, in the episode, he does end up outfitting it with a Saikamu, which does get into what they were talking about with the explosion in the first episode of GQuuuuuX, is that even though he does outfit it with the Alpha Saikamu, he's using it, it's doing really well, because Celia even likes it. Like, she wants to support him, seeing him as really the route for them to actually win the war, and sends him out on his missions. Which that all comes into, again, the other big diversion here is that Zeon is moving in on Luna 2. At the same time, the Federation forces take Solomon, which Solomon was where the Zeon were. They took it over, and they're taking it, and they're going to basically do the colony drop. In the original Gundam, there's this very famous colony drop. Essentially, Earth Federation, apparently, in this alternate world, in this alternate reality, they do it. At least I don't think the Earth Federation tried to use Solomon in the original. I'm pretty sure they didn't. But yes, apparently, Char ended up seemingly sacrificing himself in order to stop that. This thing was going to end up being used to take down Granada, and it seems like the Saikamu end up going crazy and exploding, thus creating the Zeknova. And again, that's what they were technically referencing in the first episode. When they sent out Xavier, they were talking about, you know, what about one of these Zeknovas? It would be really bad if we have another incident like with the whole Saikamu thing. They were referencing Char and how apparently this happened before. But yeah, and that seems to be what is indicated by Shalia's whole thing here. And again, I was kind of thinking the guy just didn't really believe the war was over, which technically makes sense. It looks like the Earth Federation gave up at that point. They're like, oh, okay, this is bad. This whole thing with Solomon didn't work out. So they come to a peace agreement. So it's not as if things are hunky-dory. And it's not as if Zeon won like I originally thought. Shalia said something about this is the role of the victor or something like that. I guess technically they can say that they won. But it doesn't seem like this is over for him. And it seems like it's because, yeah, what happened to his commander? What happened to Char? Is he out there? Is he dead? What happened to the Gundam that he had? What happened that whole incident? Where did they disappear off to? I mean, yeah, the assumption is that he blew himself up. They literally wiped out an entire third of this entire massive, massive asteroid. You would think that he's probably gone. So it doesn't seem like it's over for him until he finds Char, finds out his whereabouts. So super interesting, super interesting. Again, I love this kind of alternate history kind of thing here. As to how this is even going to have any significance whatsoever to the story, that's the question mark, because it does technically lay it out as next episode is episode 1. Thanks for watching this episode. Here's episode 1. So it does feel like it's a little bit out of place here, but I'm curious as to what the significance of Char will actually be. They've already kind of indicated that this thing that Shalia's seen was not Char, was not the Red Comet, it's something else, but it could be some sort of altered version of it. There's no saying that it can't be the case. Either way, it did seem like Amate did awaken the Newtype ability here, which, yes, they did technically talk about in this episode as well, for those that are new, is the idea of a new person, a new evolution in mankind that earns space. Char's whole thing is about space noids. He's all about the Newtypes. He awakens to the new type. This is the new future. Humanity has evolved again. It's the idea of those that are in space having heightened senses. Like I said, it's an evolution. He believes that this is the future, and so he wants a future for new types. Oh yeah, and humanity. Yeah, humanity too, I guess. New types. Oh yeah, humanity too. And he's trying to find other individuals like that. He believes that Shalia is one of these. Shalia does not believe that. He just thinks that he's just, I'm just really, really good. I got that intuition. But Amate did technically awaken to that. That's what that was in the first episode. She awakened to new type abilities. That's what that whole thing is. That's the new type sound effect. If you ever hear that in Gundam, that's the new type sound effect. And it did seem like she connected to whoever was in that red mobile suit. She made a connection there. And that typically does happen between new types. They're able to make a link to each other. And so whoever's in there obviously has to at least be a new type. Is it Char? Question mark. But again, I'll be curious to see how much this whole plot line, this alternate history of the Zeon Earth Federation will play into this, other than possibly just establishing it within that universe, just for the sake of having Char in the show and marketing the show. I will admit, yeah, it looked a little bit better this episode than episode 1. I made a lot of criticisms of the visuals of episode 1. Not that it was bad, just more so the fact that it wasn't to the caliber of Sunrise and Studio Khara, and more so in the idea of just the budget that Mobile Suit Gundam gets. I think that's something that a lot of the new people to Gundam won't realize, that Gundam is a massive property. This thing is a money printer, and so it gets a lot of budget, it gets a lot of time, and so you don't just mess around with Gundam. So there is an expectation that Gundam fans will have that it's going to look really good and have a lot of really fantastic animation. I did like that there was quite a bit of callbacks to the original Gundam in this episode. A lot of the poses and the strikes and whatnot, they were definitely trying to call back to there. So it's hard to really judge this, again, visually and animation-wise, to a newer product of Gundam, but more so to the original one. So I can't really even here make much criticism, because I can expect that a lot of that was intentional. But we'll see. We'll see in the coming episode. But again, I think the presentation was great. Like I said, there was just so much callback. It was so much geek Gundam stuff in here that I absolutely just ate up. And I'm not like a massive Gundam fan. I'm probably sure that I'm going to get a lot of the information that you get in this. Some of it's probably wrong. There's probably going to be some actually folks in the comments saying, no, you're not quite right there. But I did want to make a bit of this video to kind of explain a lot of this stuff to the new fans, just so they kind of get a sense of what's actually going on here. Again, I don't think a lot of this stuff is going to be too detrimental to the overall storyline. Just have the understanding, two sides, Earth Federation, Zeon, they warred. At some point, unlike the original, Char makes one bold move to take essentially the trump card that the Earth Federation created in order to win the war. Char took it and used it to win, and now he's missing. That's basic. At the basic level, it's all you need to know. Any further than that, we'll find out. We'll find out if anything else is going to be that important as we go along. Hopefully, I can kind of pick up on some stuff and let people know as we go along. But cool episode, though. Cool episode. Really, really, really fun for longtime fans, and I'm looking forward to more. We're going to probably get back to Amate and Yan and the rest of the crew going forward. It looks like in the preview, but I'll be here for it. But until then, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, hit the like button down below, comment, let me know the episode. Or are you a longtime fan? Was this fun? If you're a newcomer, more so, if you're a newcomer, let me know in the comments did this episode help? Or did me talking about this episode help? Let me know in the comments. Are you lost or whatever? I'd be interested to know people's opinions. We had a lot of feedback last week in the Discord, even so much so that I made a breakdown of all the terminology they were using, which was all explained in this episode. It's like Sunrise and Khara is like, no, don't worry, Andrew. We were gonna get to it. We're just having a fun intro. We'll get to all the lingo. Hold on. It felt like that with this episode. But anyways, if you like this content and you want to support channel more, I have links in the description below. Greatly appreciate it. But until next time, y'all take care.